What's up, gifted family? Welcome to another episode of the show that is the GP YouTube. Just a reminder that if you support what we do here, make sure to go over to giftedperformance.com and sign up for our automated coaching service. For only $1 a day, you'll get access to 15 highly customized training programs, a macronutrient calculator, our meal planning feature that lets you build and save meals based on your macros, as well as access to our private Facebook group. All subscriptions help us in continuing to put out great content to get you to your fitness goals. Thanks for stopping by, and without any further delay, let's get into today's video. Enjoy.
And here we go, back again for another episode of the Coach's Q&A with Cameron, Hey Ma, and Polly Rocket. So this is going to be part 2 of our coaching, online coaching, making money in online coaching. That's our clickbait title that's going to lure you in, and now you're here, so nothing you can really do now. Cam, how's your quarantine going?
It feels like normal life.
Paul? Any
fake news? Everything's the same for me.
Want to be an online?
Yeah, man.
Get used to this self-quarantine because there you go.
I still got my gym, dude. You know,
Georgia.
What is up with more Call of Duty?
More Call of Duty, more World of Warcraft, whatever your game of choice is. The online coaches, we've been ready for this. This is what we've been training for.
I've been Googling how to live in a shipping container. That's the only new thing in my life.
He has.
Yeah, I'm building the home gym, got the platform, got the squat rack, got the weights on the way, just waiting for the barbell now. So if your gym does get shut down, make your way on down to Melbourne, Florida, and we'll get it on. All right. Should we start these questions?
Let's go. Hey, Ryan,
we already got
the pick who answers.
Huh?
You read and you pick who answers.
Ooh, that's a lot of responsibility. I don't know if I'm ready for it, but
you're top dad.
I'll do my best. All right. First question comes from Juan S. Pineda. I don't know if there's an accent mark in there. Maybe it's like a Pineda. I haven't taken Spanish in a while, so probably butchering that. Juan asks, what is the best software methods for tracking client progress? And we will start with Paul. You'll start us off, Paul. What kind of software and methods do you use to track your client progress?
I'm old school, man. I'm Google Sheets. I like it. It can be updated real time. There are endless possibilities for customization, but they make plenty of tools these days. I think that's something maybe you have a little more experience with those tools, right, Ryan?
Do I? Yeah. So my experience with Google Sheets is that what I do is I text this guy on my phone, and his name is Thomas Butler. And he knows everything about Excel. So I'm just like, hey, Thomas, how do I do this? And then he teaches me. Or you go with the old school method and you just go on YouTube and you say how to write an Excel formula that does this. So I taught myself the VLOOKUP feature. That's like my big one that I'm really proud of.
I thought, have you played with any of those other ones though? Like Trainerize? I've played with them. I'm not a fan, but like Trainerize or True Coach and
yeah, I have to say I really do like True Coach. Thomas writes all my programming in True Coach. I think it'd be really good. The problem with True Coach is that unless you have like more than 20 clients on there that are paying you through there, it doesn't become like it costs more than it's actually worth. And I think a lot of my clients with where they're at, they would struggle with transitioning over to True Coach. But maybe I'll play around with it with a couple clients and see if I like it. But for now, I'm a Google Sheets guy.
That's my thing is I've just become what I feel like is so fast and efficient with my method. Kind of don't want to transition over, and I just love the customization with Sheets. So I'm sure Cam has some stuff to add.
No, I mean, you pretty much said it all. I use Google Sheets as well. Clients find it fairly easy and simple, and it gets the job done. So you can do whatever you want on there too. So
yeah, if you're like us, every so often you're kind of sitting there and you make a new tool and you're figuring out better ways to do things, and you're not having to wait on an app to come up with something for you. You can create everything you need in one spot. So
You can make like an athlete folder too. We'll do that with our athletes. We'll have a folder. I'll do like a progress update folder inside of that. You could do, throw all their training nutrition stuff in there. We'll have a folder where we keep blood work on file and note that with the dates too. So yeah, I mean, there's plenty of sources out there, but that's the only one that I have used, and I will say that it does everything I need it to.
yeah, I don't like some of those like Trainerize. I wasn't a fan of because you pick your exercise and you write sets and reps, and then you have like a little description box. But like you can't put in formulas and use percentages, or at least when I used it, they might have changed over the last year or two. Um, I think one of the positives of those apps is the user interface might be a little more friendly for your clients in terms of recording stuff, and a lot of people can get a little annoyed, accidentally delete things on the Google Sheet app, stuff like that. But
I think, yeah, starting with like a Google Drive with sheets and docs and folders in there is probably the easiest place to start. One, because
it's free.
it's user friendly on the coaches, and it's free. It's completely free for you to use. So starting there is good. And then if you want to get more advanced with it, maybe use some like Train Heroic as another one. True Coach, things like that. Aside from software for tracking client progress, are there any other apps that you guys recommend your clients download? So things like MyFitnessPal for tracking your food. Are there maybe some other food tracking apps that you guys like to use? Cam, do you use anything else, or are you just MyFitnessPal guy?
So I use MyFitnessPal. However, based off of talking with other people, I haven't used another one before, but I will say that there is a lot of room for human error in MyFitnessPal. The only reason that I still use it is because I know what verified macronutrient profiles are per certain foods with their cooked and raw state. But it's very, very simple just to type in white rice cooked, and I'm pretty sure that first selection on there is wrong. So it's something that's kind of been a pain in the butt for me, due to the fact that whenever I have an athlete, if they're in contest prep and I'm really making sure if things are just wacky and they're not responding how I'm expecting them to, I'll have them add me on MyFitnessPal, which is cool. They can set their diary to public, and I'll go look at the foods they've been logging in and have to manually go on mine, find the correct source, send it over to them in text and be like, hey, use this for white rice cooked instead. But I've had a couple instances, luckily only one in prep, where for about 4 weeks they were logging down, I think, raw oats and the nutrients for that, but they're weighing it cooked. And I was like, dude, you're like under eating like 100 grams of carbs like a day right now.
it happens so often with meat too. People will log meat as if it's cooked, but it's raw on their selection.
Paul, what app do you use again?
I use LifeSum. They all have their advantages and disadvantages. Like you said, MyFitnessPal has the largest database, but it's also got a lot of shit in it. I use a smaller database, so I have to input. They do have a lot of stuff on their barcode scanner and a lot of fast food stuff, but a lot of times I have to input custom foods. And so for clients, especially newer clients, when you're using an app that doesn't have as big of a selection, it's a little more work on the front end. But after a while, you get in your groove, and for the most part, you have your favorite foods or your regular foods, and it's really just, it becomes very simple at that point.
Yeah,
If you're being consistent and you're keeping it simple with your foods, I think that any of these apps you can have a lot of success with, because logging simple cooked white rice is very easy. But when you get into logging like portions of Chipotle, like the calories that they have in there for portions of Chipotle, it's not it. It could be way more, it could be way less. So you have to expect a certain amount of error as soon as you implement outside food sources. But, and something Cam said, and it pisses me off to no end, track it the way you weigh it. If you are weighing out raw chicken, you track it as raw chicken. If you are weighing it out as cooked rice, you track it as cooked rice. And there's people on Instagram that are putting up these infographics of like chicken conversion charts from raw to this with this. It's like, dude, just track it the way you're weighing it. And
So
it's nice and simple.
that information is useful just because some things will say on MyFitnessPal cooked when it's not accurate. And so it is nice to be able to know how to do that math so you can like look at it and be like, okay, this isn't correct. But also just a simple Google search will suffice. Like it frustrates me to no end that like people won't do that when they have like a new food, especially a new food that they're going to eat regularly. It's like you can verify what's in your app with a website like nutritiondata.com. It's very simple, very quick and easy, and you're safe. If you scan or if you type in a packaged food, look at the back of the package of the food you have and make sure that there's some correlation there,
Because sometimes they don't. I've seen it too, where I'll scan something, and let's say on the package it says 20 carbs and 1 fat. I'll look at MyFitnessPal and it's like 16 carbs and 2 fat, and I'm like, oh, what? How? What did you do? You had one job, put a correct barcode on it, man. But 2 little quick tips for tracking and logging down when it comes to like raw cooked meats and stuff. Whatever the package or whatever state the food is in the package when you purchase it, that is what the nutrition facts are for. So, especially like ground turkey, that's like one of the ground turkey, ground beef, whatever. That's one of the worst ones I see messed up. You buy a thing of raw ground turkey, the nutrition facts on the back are for that weight in a raw state. And then another thing too, when you're searching something on MyFitnessPal, and not all the time, but usually when you're looking at the cooked nutrition facts and weight for something, usually the standard serving size that they'll go ahead and put on there is 3 ounces instead of 4. Not all the times, but typically those are the ones when, like you said, you're adding a new food source in that you're going to be eating a lot. I'll start looking at those, pick out one of them, and then go back and verify. And usually those are the ones that are the closest.
Yeah, I think too another big indicator when you're selecting, especially meats, like raw meats are generally gonna move towards the, being about 6 grams of protein per ounce, whereas a cooked meat is gonna be closer to 8. That'll vary based on fat content and stuff, but yeah, usually you'll know you have a raw selection for meat if it's closer to 6 ounces or 6 grams of protein per ounce.
How about on the training end of things? Like any apps that you guys use to track your training, or are you old school like Logbook? I personally use RepCount. I've been using RepCount, which is an app for iPhone and Android. I've been using it for about 4 years now. Anything that you guys use to track your training?
Google Sheets, man.
So yeah, with all my clients, Google Sheets all the way. With myself though, I just quickly put my stuff, my poundages, like I know what my training is supposed to be. So I put my poundages and my reps and my RIR and stuff within a notepad app on my phone. Just to be quick and easy that I can pull it up, see what I did last week, see what I'm doing, I want to do today.
Now, I will say, and I can only speak for the Google Sheets side of things and make assumptions about the other apps. I don't think that Google Sheets is going to be the most mobile friendly or user friendly when tracking training.
People are always putting it in their damn pocket without locking their phone. You got 4 extra brand new sheets on there, 10 new columns by the end of the phase. Huh?
I've seen 16 new sheets.
Oh my God.
All my formulas are getting deleted.
You put it in your pocket.
What kind of savage just puts their phone in their pocket without locking
And
it?
like just a huge bar in the middle of the screen. I'm like, dude, okay, cool. I'm just going to skip from Tuesday, blank spot Wednesday. Like, just keep going about my day. Like, do you not notice that there's just a huge thing with nothing in it in the middle of
funny too, because clients are like, they'll send you a text like on a Wednesday. I fucked something up. I don't know how to fix it.
Or they delete that day of training.
Yeah, I had a client text me. I don't know what happened. Week 2 and week 4 are completely gone. All right, cool. Let me go troubleshoot for the next 2 hours. lock your phone. There's your takeaway there. All right. So the next question that we got is from Rachel the Man, MANN. It's 2020. We don't do genders anymore, so we're good. And she asks how to justify rates when you're inexperienced. Do you start out all free, or what is your preferred method? So Cam, when you first started out, how did you justify your rates when you were inexperienced?
$1,000 a month.
Yeah, I mean, supply and demand. You just charge people what they'll pay. Hey, what's the most you'll pay? Okay, you can pay that.
No, but I think starting out, like I think in the part one video I talked about when I started out coaching, how I began and things like that. And one of the things that I brought up was how I coached and helped out some of my friends, people that would trust me, stuff like that, where it's kind of something, okay, cool, you know, I might be book smart on this, but I don't have that wisdom, knowledge, and experience yet, which makes up a huge bulk of things. So I can't ensure you that this is going to be the best service that you're going to get. You know, we're going to learn through it and everything like that. But, you know, you're my friend. Stick with me. Trust me. You know, I'm getting started. Maybe you do a really low price for it, or you barter some kind of service that's not necessarily too crazy for them to do, and you both benefit from it. Or, you know, you just coach them for free because they're a friend and you're just getting started out. You know, obviously, as you start gaining experience, you're going to start getting a feel for, cool, what is my time worth? How many clients do I have? You know, is it getting to a point where taking on this next client isn't even worth it because I don't have enough time and the money's not even worth it then? You know, maybe you need to increase rates at that point. I will say that there may be some instances at first when you're first starting out where maybe you have someone that's just a sleeper that nobody knows, or they just have crazy genetics that they're just a nobody right now and nobody's came across them or tried to coach them. And you know that can help you, that you're going to get something out of it by coaching them, whether it be they have some kind of audience or they're just going to turn into somebody crazy or whatever. And, you know, you take them on, like I did with Jeremy Sayers, because that was my first time prepping somebody. And I was like, look, you know, he was so on the fence about starting at first. I was like, look, dude, I just want to get somebody on stage. Like, I don't know how many people are going to trust this 20-year-old to prep somebody right now. I was like, let's just see how it goes. And I brought him on for free and he trusted me and it was well worth it. But definitely ensure that you're getting compensated for your time and efforts as you do become more experienced and start working along with more clientele.
Yeah, Paul. How about you, Paul?
Okay, I'll try and make it quick. Had a few coaching experiences. My very first time, I was in undergrad, early in undergrad, didn't even get into exercise science yet. Was not very confident in my abilities. And so I did some free coaching. And, you know, I brought a lot of immaturity, not in the sense of how I treated my clients, but, you know, just myself. I wasn't really a hard worker then, and doing stuff for free wasn't like a big incentive, you know. And then I had another point where now I'm mostly through my undergrad. I'm more confident in my abilities, so I charged a little bit. It was something like $50 a month. And it went okay, but you know, there's a lot of stress that comes with coaching. It's a lot of work. And especially on the front end when you're newer to it, you're going to be slow at everything. You're constantly questioning your decisions. And I found that it became a lot easier to do things like watch Netflix at night and rush programs because that incentive just wasn't there. It wasn't worth the headache. And then this past time I started coaching, I was like, you know, I was in my master's. I had a limited amount of time. I was doing research. I was a grad assistant. And I was like, okay, you know, I'm confident in my abilities and I don't have a lot of time. So I started charging like $150 a month, filled up my roster. I was only going to take on like 10. Eventually I'm like, okay, well, this money's good. I like it. I want more clients. So bump my prices up again. And that happened a couple times until I reached a point where I felt like, you know, a little scummy for increasing prices too much more, you know, for how long I'd been coaching and all that stuff. But yeah, the things change when you're making money. You know, you're going to definitely take it more seriously. You have more of an incentive to work, and you really, whether or not you really want to be good at what you do, especially if you're making money with it and you enjoy it, you're really going to want to be good at what you do. You know, um, there was something else, but I've lost my train of thought, so I'll shift it over.
Yeah, it's something good you mentioned was when you start out free, you kind of limit yourself in the expectations you of like the work that you're going to put out. You're like, oh, I'm doing this for free, so does it really need to be that quality? Well, no, not so much. And then kind of as you build your prices up, the client expects a better service, so you expect a better service of yourself. I think a good place to start for someone who is just getting into coaching is to reach out to other coaches that you look up to and just probe them a little bit on what they charge. Hey, would you mind talking to me about coaching, like your services, what you offer, what you charge, and then kind of stack yourself up against that individual and see what you want to charge. There's a fine line to walk between doing it completely for free and absolutely just fleecing people on the price. I had a client come to me who approached Lane Norton for coaching when Lane was coaching a lot of people, and Lane told him that he would coach him for $1,500 a month. I mean, there is no service that I could offer short of coming to your house, cooking all your meals, and wiping your ass for you that I would charge $1,500 a month for. That's a mortgage payment right there. I would never charge someone that much, but that's a decision that you have to make yourself. Do you value your service so much that you're willing to charge that massive amount? And are people willing to pay it? Because there's a reason why he was charging that much, and it's because people were paying it. And who's to say that someone like that is wrong for charging that much if they've got people that will pay it? Paul, if you had 40 clients today that were all willing to pay $1,500 a month, would you tell them, no, I think I'll charge way less? What would you do in that situation?
He'd have
That's
a
a tough
haircut
one,
when he'd be
you
on
know,
the cast.
because if I'm in that position, I would assume that probably my time was very limited, and like, you know what I mean. But there is a part of me. I think we've had this conversation before, me and you, Ryan. Oh, there was something I wanted to add to my last little rant, but we had a conversation where we were talking about how we want to complain about all these shitty coaches, yet we don't want to make our services affordable to all these to people, and that was the whole purpose behind the Gifted website and the subscription service were for the people that couldn't afford the one-on-one. And so for me, there's always like this ethical dilemma because like I don't want to make my coaching completely unavailable for somebody who's 20 years old, 22 years old, someone who's in college, you know. Definitely still, and you're cutting out like a major, how many people can afford those prices unless you're like 40 years old, like super deep in your career, super successful, like not many people can do that. Did you want to comment on that before I added to my last little rant? Something I wanted to
Go for it.
Oh, something too, because, and I'm not going to speak for you guys, but for myself, going back to the incentive thing and how you're going to want to work. Occasionally I do pick up free clients and they might watch this and they might not like it, but sorry, dude, like if somebody's paying me, their update is priority. They are coming first. Like your update gets done when everybody else that's paying is when they're taken care of. And I'm still going to do hard work. I'm going to make sure you're getting just as good of a service, but you're not number one priority. And if you want to be, you're going to pay.
Yeah, definitely. The ethical dilemma that you bring up is a really good point. It's like how do I help as many people as possible and give them a quality service, get them quality results that they deserve, with the understanding that my time is unlimited. And when we made the website, that was the goal. It was like, how can I put together 15 quality training programs for people to choose from that'll guarantee that they get results, let them have quality macronutrient programming and meal planning for an affordable rate. And that was that. And then it was, all right, how do I bring on, or how do we as Gifted grow as a team to bring on as many coaches as possible so that they can also provide that service to as many people as we can. Because the three of us right here, the 9 coaches that we have today, even all of us are limited. If we all took on a full load of 40 people, that's still only 400 people that we could work with. And there's a lot more than 400 people who are either one, currently working with a coach that's charging them too much for a not very good service, or just completely unable to afford the services of the top coaches out there. So it is a bit of a dilemma that you're in. How do we reach as many people as possible and help as many people as possible, but still deliver that really quality service? You dig?
I dig.
All right, you want to move along here?
Yeah.
All right, so the final one is what are your top 3 sources of information when starting out with coaching, and who did you learn from? So I'll start off. When I first got into coaching, big Lane Norton fan, listened to all his podcasts, learned a lot from the stuff that he was talking about. Learned a lot about flexible dieting, learned a lot about IFYM, the reverse dieting kind of concepts at the time, how to like structure your training to make sure it's challenging and progress using the big 3. Kind of gotten away from that a little bit more, but it was a good baseline of understanding for me to learn how to program, how to teach people about nutrition and things like that. After Lane stopped putting out his podcast, I started listening a lot to Steve Hall's Revive Stronger podcast. I absolutely devoured all the podcasts that he had.
Gotta mention Pascal. I know he's hard to remember because he's not front man, but Pascal's on the team.
Oh yeah, Pascal on the back end there. But yeah, so I watched. When I started watching Revive Stronger, I don't think that Pascal was even on the team. I think him and Steve were buddies, but I don't think that he was even. So like those first couple episodes, the ones with like James Hoffman and Israel, learned a lot from watching those, a lot about, relative intensity, things like that, contest prep dieting along the way, a lot of the good podcasts there, whether it be Broderick, Eric Helms, Alberto Nunez, the 3DMJ guys. And then more recently, I've started getting a lot more of my information from Lyle's group on Facebook. Lyle's group on Facebook is like this. It's kind of like a great learning environment that's also extremely toxic with people yelling at each other all the time. So it's like my perfect learning environment. It's like, here's some really quality information, and let's all get really mad and yell at each other about it for the next 400 comments. So that, for me, that's like the perfect learning environment. A nice amount of passive aggression with some quality information on the back end. And I think that what I've learned more from Lyle's group is to really cover your basics super well, and then not sweat the tiny details. But there is some kind of new stuff emerging out there that I see every once in a while, whether it's supplements, training, things like that in that group, that kind of piques my interest and I dive in there. But that's the end of my rant. Paul, what are your top 3 sources of information?
Honestly, I think you hit them all, man. I'll just toss out Helms has a really good sort of intro book with his nutrition pyramid, training pyramid. So that's solid. I think if you're going for more of the general pop method, the more let's focus on adherence and all these things, and maybe the less serious athlete, they're not going to watch this, but they might even hate me for saying this, but I think Helms and the whole 3DMJ team, that's sort of like their big thing, at least in my opinion. Maybe you guys have seen different. I really love Lyle, man. He's very good at critical thinking and just no bullshit, reading the literature. He's very hard to argue with. And a lot of times, even if he is kind of an asshole, he's mostly right, and yeah, man. Broderick, he's a guy that another coach that I work with and who, guides me and does some of my enhancements, super supplements and stuff.
You've learned a lot from him too.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Just try and have multiple sources. Not everybody is 100% right all of the time, but a lot of these guys, they do have some really valuable input, and a good majority of the time are really knowledgeable on their specific topic.
Another one that I want to throw in, because this guy is just insanely nice, is Cliff Wilson. I've had multiple conversations with Cliff, and at any time of the day, he will just open up and have a solid conversation with me. Gave me his phone number one time to text him, call him, because I had some questions about some stuff. I think that Cliff Wilson, in my opinion, is the best prep coach, maybe in the United States, maybe worldwide, that I know of, in terms of getting people absolutely peeled. So one thing that I learned from Cliff was to have absolutely no fear. Like when you're programming out like dieting and stuff for contest prep athletes, is like his series that he did about like the macros for some of his athletes that got really, really lean was so insightful to me, to see how low he actually had people, because there was a large part of the evidence-based culture that was like, listen, if you put a female on 1,000 calories or you put a male on 1,500 calories to get them on stage, like, you're a bad coach. And I thought that way for a while, but Cliff really helped me to understand that, as well as peaking. He's just an absolute stud when it comes to peaking as well. I think he's probably one of the most underrated sources of information out there. Cam, I almost called you Cliff. Clifford Cheek.
Oh my gosh.
Clifford the Red Dog.
Yeah, I'll give a lot of credit to Paul and Ryan too, especially starting out. Not only teaching me a lot, but also pointing me in the right direction for sources of information. Because when you're starting out, you don't know what's right, what's wrong, what's morally right, and what you really shouldn't be doing, because you're ignorant and everything. They helped a whole lot with pointing me in direction, as well as teaching me. But 3DMJ, they were a solid one starting out, just because I didn't finish college. I pulled out, and so I didn't have that level of nomenclature to learn a whole lot.
Did you though?
Oh man. But yeah, 3DMJ, they simplify it down a whole lot, make it a pretty easy read. And yeah, I think you were talking about how simplified it is, mostly like basic adherence stuff like that. But I think those are very solid values and principles to learn starting out. So you learn that you're not sweating the small stuff before you actually have your basics and your top of the pyramid figured out first. So the pyramid books, yeah, those are the solid ones. Steve Hall. I mean, you guys pretty much nailed everybody I was gonna say.
So those are the ones on the bodybuilding side of things. I'll throw in some other ones as well. On the powerlifting and sports performance side, I think Juggernaut Training and Chad Wesley Smith do a really good job on their YouTube channel, just talking about strength sport. What's up?
I'll throw this out. For powerlifting, I think Mike Tuchscherer, I think that's how you say his name. He is a beast. I even with my bodybuilders take some of his powerlifting methodology. So
yeah, they're the strength guys. They're really good in terms of putting out quality information for strength athletes. On the CrossFit, competitive fitness style of things, James Fitzgerald, the OPEX system guy, he's a star. And then we can get into other ones, but we would be here all day. One thing I do want to add, when people ask this question of what are the top sources of information or where you get your information, they can get very dogmatic when they dive into one source of information. They get into these camps where they read everything from 3DMJ and they say, okay, this is it. These people have it figured out. This is the one methodology that I'm going to use. And then they run into resistance or something with a client and they don't understand what's going on. And it's because they're so just stuck into the one mindset. So we encourage everyone to read a little bit of everything. Read some 3DMJ, watch the podcast, Steve Hall, RP Strength stuff from them, Lyle's group. Come listen to us, read these textbooks that they read, the CSCS textbook, read Helms's textbook, read the Juggernaut books, read all of this stuff, but don't take any of it as the Bible or the only way to get things done, or you'll really, really be limited in your mindset.
Yeah.
And what's up?
Following that too, yeah, that's a reason why I like Steve Hall with his podcast, and Jeff Nipper too. They bring on a very credible, for the most part, speakers that are going to come in. So you're going to get a mixture of all different kinds of coaching styles. Q&As are really well too when you're first starting out, because people don't dive completely way too far in that you're going to get lost. They cover the top ground and layer of things, and it's pretty easy to understand. And you may have questions on training, drugs, general population, competitors, all different kinds of stuff. So any Q&As starting out with a credible source or solid listens.
I like that too in terms of becoming well-rounded, because you have certain coaching groups that are more along the line of catering to the client and adherence and stuff like that. And then you have other coaches that are like, I don't give a shit what you want. Like, we're going for optimal, you paid me to do something and we have a job to do. And as a coach, I think you need to be able to wear both hats. And some coaches are more on the science side. Some coaches are more on the anecdote side, and some coaches have a good blend of both. And you want to be one of those people that has a good blend of both.
Yeah, especially if you're working with both natural and enhanced athletes, because there will be some variance there. And you could sell yourself short potentially by just listening to a group that dominantly works with only natural athletes if you're coaching enhanced.
Or only enhanced guys,
Yeah. Give yourself a solid 30 minutes to an hour a day of just practicing your critical thinking skills. Seek out information from all sorts of different sources and then critically think your way through it. How could this be true? How could this be false? Because not only are you going to understand the methodology that the person's using, but you're going to get better at your critical thinking skills. The people that get into trouble are the ones that read information, they soak it in, and they say, this is the truth. This is the one way. Now I'm going to apply it. They latch on to methods without an understanding of principles. When you start with the principles, like you guys talked about, reading those pyramid books, understanding the basics of human physiology, then you can understand any method out there. But until you have those basics to kind of decipher and navigate your way through, you're really working blind, and you end up like me, just doing GVT every day and wondering why your biceps feel like they're going to rip off the bone.
10 sets of 10.
10 sets. That is actually where I started. So we were talking about the other day. What were you talking about you started with? So my first ever training program was GVT. First time I ever stepped in the gym, I did GVT. I remember vomiting on an LA Fitness floor doing GVT deadlift. My next program that I ever did was called the Rock Hard Challenge. It was in Muscle and Fitness magazine, and it took 5 exercises per body part. And you would do sets of 20, 20, 12, 12, 4, 5 exercises. So it was like 20 to 25 sets of failure per body part. Again, didn't know why I was so sore. So why was I getting into trouble? Because I didn't understand shit. I was an idiot. Paul, what was your first training program?
I was entirely self-taught for a long time and just did stuff, like I think 3 sets of 10, I think you're just born knowing 3 people do 3 sets of 10, and
about 5 by 5
every set to failure, and then I did something weird like 3 sets of 20, started going shy failure. I actually made decent progress, and then I was like, oh well, I'll try 4 sets of 8, that's almost like 3 sets of 10, and then 5 sets of 5. And then it wasn't until like maybe near 5 years of training that I did something similar to 5-3-1. And then from that point on, I was already reading about bodybuilding, but started reading more about just real way. I don't even know how to say it. Just more intelligent ways to program and use all kinds of stuff like RPE percentages and finding different like established coaches instead of reading stuff off T-Nation or bodybuilding.com,
When I was 19, I Smith machine box squatted 700 pounds. You want to come at me or what? I wish I could go back in time and just fucking slap myself. What are you doing? What are you doing? If I saw my old self at LA Fitness working out, I think I would beat me up.
I'd probably tell myself, hey man, one, you probably don't need to curl a 45-pound bar with 45s on each side, and you don't need to do skull crushers like that either. You're going to regret that shit later. And this is, You might want to cut this one out, but start steroids sooner.
All right, so that's our last question, but I do want to end on a less serious note. All right, so here's what we're going to do. You're going to combine two animals that would survive any sort of, you're going to create an animal hybrid that would win any fight. You understand the rules? So you got to pick two animals to win a fight. So Paul, start us off. What two animals creates the ultimate hybrid?
A tiger and a grizzly bear.
Tiger and a grizzly bear. Okay. Cam, what do you got?
A scorpion and a whale shark.
Ooh, so we're going poisonous and able to navigate in water. All right, I'm going to go
The
with
size of a whale shark.
it's the size of a whale shark. I feel like you're really bastardizing this.
You know what's
I'm
a
going to go
animal,
with
dude? Go with
what's a formidable enemy? Go.
animal? Fucking Wolverines. They're not scared of shit.
Yeah.
They'll
So
fuck.
I'm gonna go with the honey badger cockroach mix. Able to survive a nuclear apocalypse, but also fierce as shit. And now what everyone want to do is comment below with whose animal you think would win in the showdown. I think I like Cam's the most. Cam's just seems so powerful.
I feel
Mine is
like
like very
they just
Sure didn't
survivable.
make it this far in
I
the
feel
video.
like though
Nah, they're
it
gone.
just
They're
end
gone.
up being like a giant pancake-like creature. Like it's just like too friendly. Like
Bro,
a
it can
shark.
swim, and you've got that little tail
Don't
just
fight
sticking up
anything.
out of the water, just like
Bro, they
stab.
eat like microscopic plankton and shit.
Yeah, so they don't even need a lot of food.
Yeah, but they're
Can you
vegan.
a ton of it.
But they
Cam
can kill whatever
created a weak vegan creature.
No.
All right, and on that note, we are going to
And
end.
it just has a baby scorpion tail, like on this giant creature.
Paul, we're trying to end here. Paul, we're trying to
sorry.
end. Come on, we're wrapping it up. We're wrapping it up here. All right, on that note, we are going to end. As always, comment any more questions that you have below. Hit us up on Instagram, DM. Up at the top, you're going to see the our Instagram tags. Thank you, Lenny, for the edits on those. We have been the coaches that you love to hate, hate to love. See you on the next one, and stay gifted.
Stay juicy.
Bye. Oh, damn. I thought Paul was going to say bye. Peace.